Well, speaking about this being, this a tough competitive career, what is it that keeps you going? And I know that the collaborative track is a little bit different from other people. So do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose that and what keeps you pushing through?
That's a great question. I feel like it kind of chose me in a way because I think I knew even in my undergrad that like the tough, I don't know, grueling competitive lifestyle of a classical like solo pianist was not going to be for me. Um, but in your undergrad, it's like they just kind of want you to practice and work on yourself, which was great for me at the time because that's what I needed. But also, it didn't necessarily prepare me to like pick and specialize from there. Um, so when I got to my master's, I did my master's at Wisconsin Madison. The really nice thing about that program for me was that you could kind of do like a dual degree in solo piano and chamber music. So I hadn't even played with like my first singer until, let me think now. I think it was like the first year of my master's when I started playing with singers. So not really that long ago in the big scheme of things. And I put together this chamber music recital and had to do a solo recital. And um, for me, that was kind of like, okay, I think this is what I want to do, but like, how do I do it? And then in the summer between my 2 years as a master's student, I needed some way to make money and I wanted to stay in Madison. And I got hired to be a rehearsal pianist for a Gilbert and Sullivan company. And that was my first time ever playing opera, operetta, anything opera. And I really loved it. It was so much fun to get to be a whole orchestra and just to not be by yourself all the time. I think what really keeps me going is just being around the creativity and artistry of so many other people, getting to work with so many other people and to really help and support them too. So I took 3 years off to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and worked in like a variety of different capacities. Um, I, because it was even like I was when I was a staff accompanist in Eastern Kentucky University, I got to play with voice studios, and I got this whole other training and insight into what even a coach was, which is kind of funny. It's like it's still a pretty new thing, I think. So it's not something that's, at least it wasn't something that was ever presented to me as something that was even an option that you could do. So it was like this whole other world that I realized what that I even realized was out there. It's like,
Yeah, I don't think people
oh,
understand there's a difference between a voice teacher and a coach.
yeah,
And if you go to a voice teacher, they'll talk to you about the technical aspects of singing, like how to physically produce the sounds. They're like a sounding board for you. Like, I'm seeing you do this with your body. That's sort of their purview. But then when you work with a coach, there are all these other things that need to be addressed in repertoire, like the language, the style, tempi even. I mean, there's so much acting, and so for you then, as a pianist, besides playing the piano beautifully and collaborating, you also have to have a working knowledge then of languages and styles of music, historical practices, all that. So that's a whole nother journey of learning experience that you go on.
yes, it's like I get to be a student for life,
Yeah.
basically. And a secondary singer. I think like when I was a girl, I was like, oh man, if I had a different like personality or drive or whatever, it would have been great. It would have been, great to be an actress, or I think maybe in the back of my head I wanted to be a singer. So this way I get to kind of do it from the piano though. So I get the
Well,
best
yeah,
of
and
both worlds. It's really great.
we did Lyric Opera of the North, the outreach tour, you had a line. You had an acting part in that show. So you are living your dream.
I would argue that you act from the piano, which sounds cheesy as heck, but it's true. Like you and I had planned an art song recital that got canceled because of COVID, unfortunately. And I mean, the piano, especially in art song, is a character unto itself, and it was so much fun for me to explore that music with you because of course I had an idea of what it should be like in my mind, and you had another idea or just another interpretation, and it's not like one canceled the other out. It's you layer them on top of each other and suddenly it has so much more depth and so much more character and so much more meaning. So I would argue you do a very lovely job of acting from the piano.
Thank you. I love doing that kind of thing. I feel like that's something that's missing from a lot of more like soloist trained instrumentalists. They don't often approach music that way. Sometimes that's not necessarily the case, but I think it probably depends on how you're taught to approach the music from your teacher. Um, yeah.